I'm live, it says. Okay, good. Good. Happy time zone, people, wherever you might find yourself in the world. Let's see. It says here that my audio is being registered, which is good. While I wait for chat to say something, I'll post on Blue Sky, I guess. Can I just do this maybe? And we live. Should it be as frisky as... I'll even tag it with draw steel. Yeah. There we go. Let's... Yeah. YouTube says I've been streaming for a minute, so I'm not gonna... We are live, Gub says. Nice. All right. Well, welcome to this, what's it called? Inaugural? The first of its kind stream called Made for Draw Steel, where I go through some of the community creations that have been made, or rather, that's been covered by Goblin Points, or featured in Goblin Points, for the previous month. So the idea is that this is going to be a regular thing for every news episode of Goblin Points that releases once a month on the 5th. So on Goblin Points in the podcast, I usually have some news about MCDM, which is the kind of source of everything. And then about half the runtime is me covering new stuff that's popped up in the month that's being covered. And I usually have like a small shtick about everything. So I'm not going to spend too much time with just my face here because that's only interesting for so long. So what we're going to do instead is that we're going to go to this screen. Yes. Excellent. So this is on Maiden stream. How deep are we going? Like actually prepping some stuff or a read through? It's more the read through kind of deal. Basically, my idea is to kind of highlight this stuff a bit more because I know that an audio podcast is somewhat niche even today. And I think a lot of this stuff presents better when you actually see some visuals. So my idea is to bring some visuals. And also, videos on YouTube are more easily discovered than audio podcasts, which is, a bane and a blessing. So, hello everybody. Let's draw goblins to get some steel points. Exactly. Smart says Gub. Thank you, Gub. Yeah, I'm just hoping to bring more eyes onto this stuff because there's a lot of great stuff coming out of the Draw Steel community, and I think it's a disservice to only hear it in audio form, basically. A bane and an edge, please. Sorry, yes, a bane and an edge. Indeed. You know what? I'm gonna have to find it. I should just make this page bigger. That is the opposite. This is the... Can I do this? Yes. Yes, that's a lot better. Slideshow casts are pretty good at converting information to understanding. Aha. I don't know what a slideshow cast is, but I guess it's something like this. I was thinking about that on yours and Kyle's last video, how much I wish to be able to see the covers, at least, of the stuff you're covering. Yeah. I've made a very conscious... I guess, you know what? We're just going to go back to my face. I made a very conscious decision for myself that I'm not going to make Goblin Points anything else than an audio podcast, because I very strongly believe that if you try to make it a video podcast that you transform into audio, there will be something lost in that translation. Because however hard you try, I always feel like podcasts that start doing video, you end up assuming people will watch the video, and you end up explaining something through visuals and then realize, shit, I've been talking about this thing for 10 minutes and my audio listeners are not going to know what I'm talking about. And you can try to be diligent about this stuff, but you're going to forget, or at least I'm going to forget, and I don't want to deliver that kind of subpar experience to my listeners. So what I'm doing instead is I'm going to try to do these not weekly, these monthly streams. So a little time after the news episode releases on the 5th, and that will no, not weekly. And I'll go through like the highlights from the community. MCDM gets enough coverage from doing their own stuff, so I'm just going to cover the community stuff and hopefully kind of get the best of both worlds. Daily, wow, I've got too much going on. Anyway, now we're going to make my face small and everything else big. So this is goblinpoints.com. It's the official homepage of Goblin Points. It has all the episodes and news episodes and interviews listed. Let's see, just for funsies, the monthly roundups are the news episodes for every month. These are the full scripts that I read in the episode. So if you prefer to just read stuff... Oh, YouTube says it's buffering. There we go. So if you prefer to just read stuff instead, you can read the whole script on goblinpoints.com. It includes all the links. This was a bad example. This was quite a while ago. This is from March 2024. So not much coverage going on yet. But if we go to something a bit more recent, like the coverage of November, we can jump directly to the link section, and you'll see that there are a lot of links in here. So if you if you want Draw Steel stuff, just check out the link section on each of the news episodes. There are, I will say probably at least 30 links every month. There's a lot. There's a lot. So what I read in the episode is very much not covering all the stuff that's in there. And additionally, I also have the interviews, which I now do twice monthly on the 15th and the 25th. I release those, and they are also being transcribed. So they're not all transcribed yet. I have someone working on transcribing them. So you're also able to read the full text from the interviews if you feel like reading instead of listening. And for those proper nerds out there, there is also an RSS feed which publishes everything that I publish on goblinpoints.com. So if you want to have it in your feed catcher, that's also a possibility. It's my own term for when a podcast takes a list and turns it into a presentation. I like them because they're the more you combine methods of learning, the more you tend to get your points across. That's a good point, Atomic Sorcery, yeah. The Dice Society uses the RSS. Thanks for making it available. Yes, I'm a true believer in RSS. So if you're RSS inclined, that's also a possibility. I probably should just have a newsletter, but this is a self-built thing, then I'd have to figure out a way to do it in a... Yeah, I don't know. I haven't spent the time on that. There's so much else. Hey, Tamwin also. Wow. This is quite the audience. So, this is the Made for Draw Steel for December, technically, because that's what I cover at the beginning of every month, the previous month. And this is episode 2026-1, published on the 5th of January. And my podcast host recently told me that I'd passed I don't remember. They send me an email like, "Oh, you've posted this many episodes," and I'm like, "Oh, cool." Don't really pay attention. You can listen to the episodes right here through the embedded player, or there are also tons of places that it also gets syndicated to. So if whichever kind of podcatcher you prefer, it's most likely supported. Or there's the direct RSS feed to just the podcast. So hopefully there's something for everyone. Anyway, there's always a link right here directly to the link section if you don't want to read the whole manuscript. MCDM have been posting a lot of shorts on YouTube, as you can see. Let's see here. These are basically all just shorts. And yep, we're doing Jan's of the Timescape. The theme reveal is coming on Monday. I think it's 2 p.m. GMT. Convert to your time zone. There is a premiere scheduled on YouTube. So if you look up the Goblin Points channel, you should find the premiere there, I think. I don't know how YouTube works. I just click on stuff and it says it's okay. But we're going to move on to the first section. That's going to be it's supposed to be the art packs by Inga. I just now realized I added them to... Okay. And I thought I had everything prepared. And of course I did not. Where are they? In December, Inga posted the... Let's just do this. Posted the Dwarves art pack, which is their third. And the nice thing when buying these art packs is that you get the commercial license to use them. You have to do accreditation as indicated by the document in here, but the nice thing is you can use them in your own products. How should I do with... You know what? We're just going to do this. And we're going to... I think I'm just going to drop them here. Does that work? No, wait. Cancel. What if I do this? Ooh. And then do this. Aha! That's a way to do it. Here we go. So these are dwarf tokens. That is... There we go. No. That's the same Fury. These are supposed to be... These are different... Where is he? There we go. And these are different... This is a Dwarf Fury. That's what I'm trying to say. And these are the different tokens for the different transformations when they go between hybrid form and full beast form. What is it called? Is it beast form? So these are really cool. Oh, that's the same one. I should really click on these to see the preview first. These are really cool. I recently played with Cameron on Rise Heroes Rise, and he was using these tokens for the dwarves, which was excellent. And I love this style where the image kind of escapes its border. I love that stuff. It just elevates tokens to such a degree that Has Inga does a Red and White pack. They've done dwarves, elves, and an orcs and goblins pack. But maybe we should poking about doing a. I am actually playing with Inga in a game at the moment, so maybe I should poke her about it. Here are the wool form for the Fury. Oh, there we go. The wool form. And we've got... Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. And here's like the regular Fury. And then the hybrid form. Oh, and both of them. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, here's also the full art for that's used in the tokens. Are these big images? Yes, they are. Holy crap! Look at these. Cubs has put in a word for me. You know what? I will. I'll let you know that you want red and whites. I won't make any promises. I'm just gonna pass on the word. I won't promise more than I can deliver. Let's see. Here's the text that she's provided with the pack. All owners of this art pack can use the included files in paid and free digital and print products, actual plays, and other TTRPG related media. If you decide to use that, wow, what's going on now? If you decide to use this art as a part of a paid product, include the following credits. And it's just their name. And in parentheses it says the Dwarves art pack. Anyway, the next thing, so this is just their each page. They're €6 each for the art pack. A steal, I'd say, especially considering that you can use it freely for commercial products. Holy crap. Moving on to the next thing, which is the kiln. This is currently being crowdfunded on BackerKit, and it's a Marshall Caster. We have the designer in chat, so they'll correct me. They'll correct me if I say anything wrong. And this support Gish. I haven't. I just see people use the word Gish, and to me, that's a reference to an old game made by Edmund Macmillan, probably most known for making Meat Boy and Super Meat Boy. But apparently, it means some kind of like spellblade. I don't know what it's a reference to, and I haven't looked it up. But okay, so the kiln is a support Gish, and they have this fantastic character sheet included as a preview in the crowdfunder. Hello, Tabletop Nonsense Verse. The number of times I had to traditional elven greetings. The number of times I had to to practice pronouncing Tabletop Nonsense Verse is ridiculous. I had to practice a lot before for the first episode of Goblin Points that included the first issue of the Blacksmith's Guild, which Tabletop Nonsense Verse publishes. I had to practice saying it because it just wouldn't roll off my tongue. Art by Jasmine Planet, Gub says. From Look Up Behind You Studios. I remember thinking this is an interesting name for a company, but I also like it because it has that kind of is it the culture that has the long ship names, and it kind of gives me that vibe, which I think is, and I find that entertaining. I love this character sheet, by the way, and I've kind of come around to the color coding of abilities, which is something I didn't really see the point of in the beginning when people started talking about it, but I'm coming around. So I think I have decided that I'm going to implement that on Stall 2, that each of the different kind of abilities are going to have their own color coding as per the let's call it consensus that's been reached on the what's it called, Draw Steel Brewery server, which I believe these are the same colors that's been being used there. Yes, culture has ship names like the anticipation of a new lover's arrival. Yeah. I have to admit though, I've never read the culture. I've just kind of absorbed some of it through osmosis. Did you see the interior layout preview, do a bit more subtle color coding there. Oh, interesting. Well, I do have the crowdfunder page. We're still missing $1,000 here, people. So, you know, there is 27 days left, I realize, but you know, I'm gonna going. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I backed for $42 apparently. That's Backer Kid is calling me out. Let's see. I do have these also. Actually. Let's see. There must be a link in here somewhere. Let's see. Click here for the pre-gen and here for the black and white version. Jasmine Planet, also on Blue Sky. Let's see. That was it under what we're funding. What we're funding. Oh, yeah. I was looking for a link and just passed straight past it. Let's open this in a new tab. Oh, wow. That's a bit too big. I like this layout, and the color coding is a bit more subtle, yeah. It might be something a bit more like this on stall. By the way, I'm not going to do full colors. That's going to be too crazy. I like this layout actually. I do think the layout used in the core rules of Draw Steel is a bit Spartan. And I think this is a pretty good middle ground, where it's a bit more... It's not as technical. Stylization is good. I love the colors. Yeah, for the character sheet, definitely. The font is literally League Spartan. So yeah, support the kiln on the. We should actually look at some of the abilities just to get a feel. But support the kiln on Backer Kit. We gotta get this funded. I'm actually gonna make it a bit bigger for myself, page width, because believe it or not, I don't see that well. Let's see. So these are our starting stats. So we're starting strong with agility and reason. Oh, there's a lot of speed here, actually. That's interesting. And a lot of a disengage. Stoke the flame. Yeah, the spark thing, that's interesting. So you gain 1d3 spark at the start of your turn, and you gain 1 spark when you use the Stoke the Flame ability, targeting an ally. So this targets 1 ally, okay? Then, when you roll to gain spark at the start of your turn, you can kindle, no action required. If you do so, if you do, your roll gains the following additional effects. I think it's once again implicit here that you decide this before you make the roll, which was something they actually fixed in the conduit. For the longest time, it said, well, if you pray when you roll, you can pray. It's I think the text was, which was kind of vague. Should you decide to pray before or after you roll? It felt like you should do before, but it didn't actually say that. But they fixed that for the final version of the game. Let's see. If the roll is a 1, and the Undermine accepts your offering, the psychic damage... You take psychic damage equal to 1d10 plus your level, which can't be reduced in any way, and you are enkindled. So you're always enkindled, but you sometimes get a bit more spark if you roll a 3. And when you stoke the flame, the target makes an ability roll for a damage dealing ability. Apply 1 stoke the flame effect of your Hazel Talisman Kit granted by the Tinderbox feature. Okay. Inner Flame, once per round you can spend 1 spark to use Stoke the Flame targeting yourself instead of an ally. As a free triggered action, you can use to Stoke the Flame this way even if you are dazed. Breaking some new ground here, I think. Just popping in to say hey before I must sleep. Thanks for the stream, John. Oh, hi, Cameron. You can make 1 M4 steel. I mean, you don't have to right now, but like people can generally. Yeah, there is a source book included in the downloads up here. No, somewhere. If I just yes. Yeah, under the third-party source books, if you enable the Look Up Behind You Studios checkbox, you can make a kiln in Forged Steel, which is excellent. I'm sometimes worried that people think that me and Andy are in competition because he makes Forged Steel and I make Stall, but we're doing something a bit different from each other, and also a rising tide lifts all boats kind of deal. So yeah. This is pretty technical for the class to understand what it does. Hazel Talisman Kit stoke the flame effects. If the target all targets of the ability are less than 1 weakened end of turn. If the target is hidden, the ability deals extra psychic damage equal to 4 to 1 creature it is targeting. Wait. The ability deals extra psychic damage equal to 4 to 1 creature it is targeting. Okay, yeah, that made sense. I just needed to to read it from the beginning. Let's see. Double strike. 2 creatures or objects. Yeah, and do a bit of damage. Use ability, you can use it again against 1 target, then use your maneuver and your move action for that turn before using the ability against the second target. You still use the same power roll for both targets. Ah, okay. Beyond the Veil. And then there are a few maneuvers. I'm not going to look through these in detail because we need to move on. Knightly Order Culture. Camouflage Hunter. Interesting. When you take damage from a creature. Yeah. I really like this art. I love that the Draw Steel community really appreciates art. And I think we inherit that from MCDM. And that is greatly appreciated. Also, I just have to say, this art is very good in general. Okay, moving on to the next thing, which is the Snow Queen's Fury. And I have to correct myself because I said it was written by Emi Mura, which is incorrect. It's Miura. I don't actually know how to pronounce it. So I said the wrong name in the Goblin Points episode, and now I'm going to mispronounce the name just to make sure that I've done it wrong in all the best ways. The kiln does some fun and funky stuff for sure. What I really like is that some of the classes that have been released for Draw Steel by the community and third parties are willing to kind of break the mold of, like, willing to break into new areas and try new things that's not necessarily done in any of the core classes. And I think that's partly because of the design of the original classes, which have some features that are unique to just one class, like Strained, for example, for the talent. It's the only class that uses Strained, and it's the only class that's even well, maybe the Operator might use something like Strained. I think that was an idea at some point. But none of the other classes uses a mechanic like Strained. And just the fact that one of the classes in the core rules uses such a different feature kind of allows others to... Then it makes it more acceptable for others to do the same stuff, where there's like a feature in a class that just is unique to that class. So yeah. That's something I really appreciate about the design they've done for the core classes. And even then you get to the Beast Heart and the Summoner, which both just kind of do their own thing entirely. Yeah, the kiln basically has prey that gives Strained. Lol. Yeah, exactly. We didn't look at that even. I should mention that, actually. We're back to the kiln, Gub. For some of the features in here. No, not that one. Here we go. Wow, looked right past it multiple times. So if you're enkindled, and you do that by deciding to do that when you roll for your spark at the start of your turn, you get extra effects on the ability. So this Peer Beyond the Veil, 2 burst on all enemies. You do a bit of damage. You can shift a bit if you roll well. And then if you are enkindled too, you can teleport instead of shift. And you do not need line of effect to your destination. Oh, that's interesting. If you teleport to a space adjacent to any allies, one of the allies can make a free strike. This class is, well, I shouldn't say more complicated. Well, you know, it does new stuff, I think we'll say. Also here, Shiver with Anticipation. It's a maneuver, 1 burst on self. The next strike against each target gains an... That's an interesting wording, because it looks like, when you say each target, it looks like it's only yourself that you're targeting. The next strike against each target gains an edge, and each target is additionally intuition less than 0 weakened save ends. And if you're enkindled, you or an ally in the area can make a melee free strike. Interesting, yeah. When you play it, it feels about as complicated as a conduit. Not my words. Ah, okay, yeah, I can believe that. So sometimes stuff sounds more complicated when you read it, and then you sit down to play and you realize, oh, now that this actually makes a lot of sense. Specifically, wow, there are a lot of tangents in this. Specifically, I was watching a person looking through the rules, and they commented on the null's ability to have their null field disable temporarily or permanently terrain effects, magical and supernatural terrain effects. And they mentioned that there are like 6 writers in the text. You have to have your null field activated. It needs to be terrain effect. It needs to be active. It should be permanent or temporary, and all these kind of conditions that need to be fulfilled for this thing to work. But what you realize when you play the class is that, well, it basically boils down to, if you move close to terrain effects, they stop working, and if they're temporary, they stop working permanently. So it's not that complicated really, but you just need all the kind of conditions in the text to make sure that the players understand when they can actually use it. But when you sit down to play, it turns out that it's very logical. Anyway, let's actually move on to the Snow Queen's Fury. So this is an adventure made for a single session, and it's inspired by the Snow Queen. The Snow Queen. Yes, Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. He's a Dane, and I think, at least in Norway, he has almost like a singular honor in that he's a known author whose stories are considered fairy tales. Because most fairy tales in Norway are either from the Brothers Grimm or from two Norwegian authors, I think so, that did the Grimm thing and collected a lot of like fairy tales and folk tales and published them in books. So they literally went around in Norway and gathered all these fairy tales that people knew about and published them in books to preserve them. And Hans Christian Andersen is basically the only author that I know of whose stories are just called fairy tales. But we know the author, which we don't know the author of, Cinderella or Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We don't know who the author is. They're just folk tales. They're fairy tales that people tell. We don't know where they come from. But we know who wrote the Snow Queen. We know who wrote like the Ugly Duckling. But he just was lumped in with those folk tales. It just fascinates me. Anyway, that's another tangent. Well, that's really interesting, the Dice Society says. Yeah. If you play a Fury, can you be claimed by the Queen? So it says here that it should take about 3 to 4 hours, and there are options in here to kind of exclude content to shorten it down if you want to, which that's awesome. Don't assume how long people can play for a single session, but also make it easy to kind of cut content while you're in the middle of it, so that when people realize, this group uses a lot of time in the first part of the adventure, so we'll just cut part 4, and it'll work out after all. What I find most interesting about this adventure, though, is that it's balanced for 3 to 6 first level heroes. Fine, good, nice. Though I've included notes on how to adjust things for second and third echelon heroes. Which is interesting. I don't think I've seen that before in an adventure, not at least for Drosteel. So it's not new in Drosteel land. I can't speak for any other subculture in this hobby. And it introduced the core mechanics of the game: basic power rolls, combat negotiation, montage, in an easily digestible order. So it does kind of the same thing that the Conventure does from MCDM, the Road to Broadhurst, but with a more Christmassy theme, basically. I find it interesting that they went with single column format for Drosteel product. Rebellious, lol. I was speaking with Paul Poligorsky, Heart of Arcana, and he mentioned that his layout artist also commented on the fact that TTRPG products use 2-column layouts, and they said something like, "What is this? The 1800s or something?" They just thought it was so old-fashioned using 2-column layout. Paul's graphic design is very against it. Yeah, that's the impression that I got. But they're from outside the hobby, which is not a bad thing by any means. It's just interesting when you get people looking in from the outside and they just comment on things that's so common. And to be honest, when I came into this hobby, it was not something I even considered because I didn't think about that stuff. This is a book and you read it. But yeah, they went with a single column layout, and I don't know, it works. what can I say? Should I maybe make this bigger? I'll make it bigger. Let's see. Yeah, this is also cool. There are content warnings, which we like, and they mentioned that these two concepts, what do they call it? That are like essential to the adventure. You have to rewrite the adventure if you're gonna not use any of these. And then there are non-essential ones, which are just kind of not briefly mentioned necessarily, but you can kind of skip them or reflavor them to something else if it doesn't really fit your group. You never know. You never know. But these are like non-essential. I really like that they've included both these lists to make it easier to see if this is appropriate for the people you're going to run for or not. The Christmas. This is a winter solstice one shot, not a Christmas one shot. Sure. Why not? Yule all the way. However, if you want to make it more Christmassy, I've included the map variant with a Christmas tree. Nice. 2-column layout has value. Specifically, if you're trying to read on a small screen, try reading the Cyberpunk Red book on a tablet. Not a pleasant experience. I assume that also... the thing is, when there's a 2-column layout, I agree, but the annoying thing with a 2-column layout on a PDF on a tablet anyway is that I have to kind of scroll around on the page to read everything. I can't just I can just scroll like up all the time or page to the next page because I need, I just want EPUB. Late to the party, but excited to watch the VOD. Nice, Sam. It's going to be late for us Europeans. So for those of you from Europe that's in here, awesome. My time schedule is a bit messed up because I try to keep I've ended up keeping a US inspired kind of time schedule for myself, so I end up staying late a lot of the time because that's when the folks in the US are awake. Let's see. Yep, there's a playlists on Cobus to play when you're playing, and there's a more Christmassy action playlist. I haven't actually listened to these. I probably should. But they also suggest playing this one in order because it's kind of ramping up the tension between the songs. Interesting. Yep, pacing. If you don't have the 3 hours, no worries. You can exclude stuff if you want to. And here are the swaps or replacements you need to do for the monsters if you want to run this at a higher level than the first. Which I think is really interesting. I almost want to try to run this 3 times at one for each echelon and see if it works out. I kind of believe it will because the encounter building rules in Draw Steel are pretty good, which means this could actually be somewhat. This might actually work without having to go crazy with testing. And note that the ice phase should always do cold damage and should have some fire weakness and significant cold immunity. And they encourage you to get in touch if there's anything. They got in touch with me saying that I got their name wrong, which was what's really embarrassing because I usually try to be very diligent with getting people's names right, partly because I'm terrible at remembering names and partly because it's something that I think is important. That's just a me thing. There's going to be someone that figures out how to make adventures for 2 to 3 players specifically that is going to carve up that niche. In my experience, there hasn't been a harder table to run than 2. That's probably... Yeah. Running 2 people, Draw Steel for 2 people seems... I feel like the game probably breaks down a bit then. I'm not going to go too much into the details here, just in case you want to play this at some point. But there are a few villagers. You have to do a bit of investigation to find out what's going on. And here are the balancing notes for the different amount of heroes. These tables work really well when you got one column layout, actually. That's an interesting point. I like the little winter wind flourish by the page number. Yeah, these are nice. Doesn't look as good when I've blown them up to this big, but yeah, they're good. Oh yeah, the stat blocks looks really good too, actually. Have they? No, they have a bit different. Yeah. Ooh, what's this? We'll never know. Anyway, you can get this on itch.io for $5 a steal. $5 for an adventure is, I don't know. I think it's very cheap. Definitely cheap enough that I just buy it on impulse. Next up is the Ratcatcher magazine that's being crowdfunded. So this is the 2nd issue. And the way that Onslaught 6 does this is that he crowdfunds a new edition or a new issue. That's what I'm trying to say. A new issue of the magazine, and you're able to order physical copies of the magazine. They come in A5 format, and let's see. Shouldn't it be? Oh, here we go. Sorry. I've got the previous issue here. It's a small, nice format. So what you end up with is, and as you see in this preview here too, is that you end up with a layout that's a bit different from most products because they have to fit on a pretty small page. This is the size of an A5 approximately, which is... What's that in freedom units? I don't remember. It's just really easy to chomp through all of your recoveries in like one. Oh, let's see. What are you discussing? I always include encounter tables for 2 to 6 of my adventure quests. Nice to know we're at least somewhat successful in something. Great, difficult, but it helps with retainers. Yeah, that would be my solution if I was running. If I were running for that few people. Here are some retainers. Spread out the damage a bit. This looks so dope. It's really easy to chomp through all recoveries. Yeah, I imagine. Like a half page. Yeah, a half page. Digest size. Huh. I think... Yeah, if you listen to my interview with Onslaught 6 from last summer, he says which page size they actually use for these. These are really nice, but you end up with stat blocks. Let's see. Yeah, you end up with stat blocks that are... Hello. You end up with stat blocks that are pretty narrow because they have to fit in a 2-column layout on a really small page. So I think these are interesting artifacts because of that. Because I think they've done a really good job with making it fit, considering what they're working with. And I don't know. I think it's cool and interesting that they actually managed to make it work in a very different format than what we're used to. And I have to say, part of the reason they make them this small is because they're supposed to be easy to use at the table. This size on the table is fine. This is not big. Anyway. So this is the Necromancer Tyrant by Anna Nathan Lee. And they're also doing a crowdfunder. They were incredibly well funded. Partly because you can get the I didn't think about this when I set this up, but Barricade is going to consistently call me out on how much I back these. So yeah, okay. I guess that it's I don't know, a humble brag. Oh, I'm getting hot. This is really embarrassing. I love the squish style. It's kind of a vibe. Yeah, me too. It gives off a really like 80s, I think, kind of vibe. The Goblin Points are out of the bag. It gives a really like, I think, 80s vibe, like old school magazine slash no, not magazine necessarily. Well, maybe, but like old school rules kind of vibe with the black and white art and the squished style and the small size and everything. Yeah, it's almost like you're a nerd who loves the game. But part of the fact is I have the money to spend, and I love spending it on people doing like passion projects. Yeah. The zine is currently in final writing and editing mode, with layout templates already set up and most content already partially implemented. We're hoping to have PDFs in your hand by February 2026, with physical fulfillment starting soon after. I know Onslaught has done a lot of physical crowdfunders before, including the previous issue, so I have no worries about this working out. 3 projects fulfilled on Backer Kit alone. Oh, yeah. You will, let's see, you will be able to buy the PDF once it's ready, and I know for the previous issue, they printed more than they sold, so you can buy back issues from them directly, I believe. Don't quote me on that, though. Solid color block headers on the stat blocks instead of the gradient too. Yeah. Yeah, I really like this design. That art is really good, especially when up close. Holy shit. Wait, is this Inge again? I think, oh yeah, it is, isn't it? It's almost like we... Yeah, there we go. Art by Inge. Yeah, I really like that they found their own vibe. That really, I think it really works. I remember them redesigning these actually for the first issue because the final stat blocks was in the preview of the core rules, and they realized let's get a bit closer to those. Next up is the Scion. This is also a Gish of some sort. I really like that they've used the layout of the core rules here. I think this is pretty good. My only issue with the core rules, so I'm not gonna fault the Scion on doing the same, but I really dislike using the white text just right on top of the image. I realize they want to show off the art and not have the text kind of block a bunch of the art. I get it, but this is really hard to read. Thankfully, you're not going to read this very often, so maybe it works. It's a trade-off, but yeah, I don't know. Scion, you were deemed worthy of a secret art known only to a chosen few, allowing you to weave steel and magic into a single fluid dance. Passed down through an unbroken chain of master and disciple, this ancient discipline was entrusted to you, its esoteric techniques guiding you toward the cultivation of balance, a harmonious alignment of movement, feeling, and intent. As a Scion, you are... Oh, there's a typo. So sorry for calling you out on the stream. And this is the 1.07 version that was released a couple of days ago, I think. You, as a Scion, you are the quiet before the storm. You move like the wind and strike as lightning. Your flexibility is unmatched. Each blow empowered to suit the moment, whether to debilitate foes or bring their end closer still. The battlefield is a canvas upon which you paint your masterpiece, and your art is your brush. This is good art. In stillness, the path reveals itself. In motion, the path is made. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that quote. I like that. That's my kind of thing. My favorite quote from the core rules for the classes is the shadows. When there is doubt, there is no doubt. Hits the spot for me. I'm summoning the author. That's neat. Gila Monster Monitor Lizard Dragon is a great pop of color and ink definition. Yeah. Oh, hey, creator of Scion is here. Oh, you have a different name here. Is there a... Dean Spencer, yeah. Dean Spencer art. Really, I like the detail over here. We get a bit of fiction, and then the class starts. Let's see. You're strong with agility and reason. And you get 21 stamina, 9 at later levels, and 8 recoveries. Yep, pretty standard stuff. I think the heroic resource and the subclasses are interesting. So you got arts. Each Scion is a single carefully chosen inheritor of a different art. The masters of each art hold different ideals and choose their Scions according to their adherence to these ideals and their capability to uphold them. You are trained in an art chosen from the following options, each of which grants you a skill. Yeah. You got the Blink Blade, which uses teleportation magic. And then there's the Rune Rite, that uses rune and rune branding to sear volatile runes onto living beings and shape the battlefield through ground-laid writs. You gain the mechanic skill. No cage can hold me. I choose my own path. Knowledge is power. I carve order out of chaos. Well, I like this quote. It's good work. Soulforged. The Soulforged binds a fragment of their soul into a chosen weapon, forging a sentient extension of their will, a soul blade. Through this bond, they shape and empower their blade, and adapting its form and function to meet the shifting demands of the battle. You gain the empathize skill. I am the soul of my blade. I bring justice for all. The previous two were the best. and Weave is the cherry on the top of the Scion, but the subclasses are fucking sweet, to be honest. Just check the heroic resource is available as a zine title. Oh wait, I probably skipped some. And you get balance as your heroic resource, and I always think it's interesting because the way the triggered heroic resource generation of the class kind of tells you how the class is supposed to be played. So at the start of combat, blah blah blah. At the start of each of your turn, you gain 2 balance, which I think makes sense. That it's a stable 2. That's kind of the whole thing about this class. Everything being balanced. Additionally, the first time in combat round that you or an ally within 10 squares of you uses an ability with a weapon tag, you gain 1 balance. And the first time in a combat round that you or an ally within 10 squares of you uses an ability with a magic tag, you gain 1 balance. This is really cool. It's so obvious when you read it, but of course it is, because it's balance. Of course it is that way. You get a kit, and here's Enweave. You mentioned Enweave. Enweave is the cherry on top of the Scion, but the subclass are fucking sweet. Yeah. So let's have a look at Enweave. It's a maneuver targeting yourself and with a range of self and distance of self. That's the word. Distance of self and the targeted special effect. Choose one of the following effects which applies to one target of the next damaging melee weapon ability you use. And then you get to choose the... Okay, so Flame Strike makes it fire damage. Okay, so it takes fire damage, and you do an additional fire damage equal to triple your reason score. Ooh, interesting. Gale Strike makes it sonic, and you can push the target or yourself away from the target at distance equal to double your reason score. And you can make the damage lightning. And you can target the target and 4 other enemies chosen in sequence, each being within 5 range of the previous target. Take lightning damage equal to your reason score. Nice. Chain lightning. I mean, who doesn't like chain lightning? Free strike, the damage becomes cold. And they take cold damage equal to reason score and is slowed. Save ends. Nice. Okay. Crimson Strike, it becomes corruption and they become bleeding. Save ends. Ooh, that is good. You can make it an Umbral Strike. Nice. It becomes psychic damage and it has damage weakness equal to your reason score. Damage weakness. Explosive Strike. Each enemy in range 2 of the target is dealt damage equal to your reason score. Yeah, it's explosive, of course, yeah. Interesting. Effects other than the changing of the damage type are applied after the ability is resolved. If you use this ability more than once before it applies to an ability, you can choose one of the damage types to apply to the affected ability, but apply all of the effect. Wait. What did I just read? If you use this ability more than once before it applies to an ability, you can use one of the damage types to apply to the affected ability, but apply all the effects. Interesting. So if you end your turn doing this maneuver, then open your next turn by doing the same maneuver, you can change the damage type and apply 2 effects. Ooh. Oh! Wait, we need to read the whole thing. You can make it a free maneuver. This is so cool. I didn't read this before the Goblin Points episode. Okay, you can't even more than twice. Okay. So there's a limit. We can spend 2 balance to make it a free maneuver. Holy crap. This is so cool. Oh, I love this. This is why it's so great to look at this stuff from the community. Holy shit. Let's see. What are you saying? Push away, sick, like free, disengage. Pushing yourself away from the enemy. That a fire elementalist can boost. Yeah. So if you use freeze and flame, it's either cold or fire damage. You pick. Yeah. Oh, right. If you use one, you can choose one of the damage. Oh, yeah. So you don't have to even care which. Oh, yeah. That is in spirit of draw steel. I think it doesn't really matter which in which way you do it in sequence. You get just to choose one of them. The point is not to trick you to remember to use this first and then this. Ooh, a way to still have your maneuver or apply to. Yeah. That is interesting. You know what, Gub? You were right. And weave. That's a big cherry. Holy shit! Yeah, that is really cool. And then we go into the different arts. I'm not going to scroll too much more through this. You can get the Scion on itch for $10, which I think is a steal for a class. And knowing Surfing Bird, this has probably been playtested a bunch too in the brewery server, which is something that I find interesting. I think the community has also inherited a lot of MCDM's diligence when it comes to testing, and I don't think that people from outside the community realizes how that has kind of rubbed off on third parties. And that I think a lot of people have bad experiences from looking at stuff on what's the wiki site with all the bad homebrew, or rather that's the reputation it has, and also a bunch of stuff on like D&D Beyond, or sometimes on the DM's Guild. You find stuff that is ridiculous, and sure, there will be some of that stuff for Draw Steel too, but a lot of this stuff, the products that people have spent a lot of money to make, this is good. And the fact that I see people that I know care about balance and design in the community talking about that this is good, then that gives me, confidence. And Weave is kind of the flagship ability of the Scion, so you don't have any passive stuff like routines or ferocity table or anything, but you get a super flexible and potent maneuver. Yeah, that's really, mwah, love it. Well, now you gotta read the subclass maneuvers though. Oh, okay, Gub. All right. So for the Blink Blade, you know what? I never really liked this style from the core rules. I'm not going to bash. I like that I prefer consistency over confusion. So I like that you're consistent with the core rules. I don't like the standard that the core rules set, but that's just me. That's just me though. So for the Blink Blade, the teleporting one, you get blink and face walk. Blink and you miss it. Oh, you know what? You're a fucking quote machine. Let's see. It's a maneuver. Distance and target is yourself. You can teleport up to 7 squares. Holy sh! Oh yeah. Spend 5 balance. If used immediately after performing an ability that targets only one enemy, you may repeat that ability at your target destination without needing to spend the base cost, as long as it costs 5 balance or fewer. Right. Oh, you say, okay, yeah. So you can spend 5 balance to basically use a good main action. After performing an ability that targets only one enemy. Yeah. So you get to do you basically get to do up to a 5 cost in addition to your main ability. Interesting design. Interesting. This is and you also get phase walk. So let's look at phase walk. Oh wait, what? Oh, right here. Whenever you disengage, you may teleport instead of shifting. The number of squares you can shift when disengaging is increased by 1. Nice. Then the Rune Right gets Rune Brand, which is up here. Okay, yeah, sure. Rune Brand. It's a maneuver. Distance of melee 1 creature or object. When using this ability, choose one of the Invive effects, ignoring the component that changes the damage type of your next weapon ability. You brand your target with a rune imbued by the effect you chose, priming it for detonation. At the end of your turn, the rune is primed. When a rune is primed, the next time the branded target is damaged, the rune detonates, applying its effect to every enemy within range 2 of it. So 2 burst. That's big. If the branded effect already has an area, it's increased by 2 instead? If the branded effect has a push effect, it is relative to that branded target's location. Oh, interesting. So you push from yourself, not from the damaging or the attacking hero. Spend 2 balance. The rune is immediately primed, allowing you to detonate it this turn. Oh, okay, interesting. Since so many of us played in the playtest, we know how they work and the questions to ask. I remember doing a playtest with a Kiln and a Scion, and they were actually like peanut butter and jelly. It was super sick, for what it's worth. Oh, interesting. I see Surfing Bird saying, awesome to hear. Maybe it was a quote machine quote. That's one thing. One of the things about this community, because MCDM is so open, the community has a more realistic idea of how much it costs to make one of these products. That's interesting, yes. It is really interesting seeing people coming into the Discord and asking about granular stuff, and people just know the answer. I know Matt's talked about that too, but I just find it interesting that that's a thing. So like Flame Strike becomes Burst 2 that can be done by anyone. Yeah. Holy shit. This is pretty good. Okay, and last, Soul Forged. You get Soul Ship and Soul Bound. So Soul Bound, your soul blade is more than a weapon. It's an extension of your soul. Its appearance reflects the innermost truth of who you are. You are never truly separated from it. If it's not in your hand, you can summon it instantly as a free maneuver. That's, everyone loves a summoning weapon. Yeah. Your soul forged abilities can only be used with your soul blade. To bond with a new weapon, you must perform a ritual lasting several hours to transfer your bound soul fragment to another weapon from another weapon to it. You may bond with as many weapons as a kit grants. Oh, interesting. Yeah. You have to, yeah. By default, your soul blade is sentient and capable of communicating with you, though you may choose to forgo this aspect of it. Okay. So you're basically giving people a free pass to kind of pass on the roleplay. Not that that's wrong. I have players that would not like being forced into roleplaying with their sword. So yeah. I just like that you give them an explicit permission to do so. Soul Shape. By reshaping the bound fragment of your soul, you persuade your soul blade to take a new form. It's a maneuver, distance self and target self. Choose a modified form for your soul blade, each granting a distinct effect until the start of your next turn. Expansive. Melee weapon abilities have their area increased by 1. If the area is a line, increase the size of the larger dimension by 2 instead. Oh. You're really going all in on like new design here. I love it. Melee weapon abilities. Oh, powerful. Melee weapon abilities with roll damage have their damage increased by your recent score. If the ability force moves a target, the forced movement distance gains a bonus equal to your recent score. So both of them then. Resonant. Melee weapon abilities have their potency increased by 1. That's really nice. Reaching. Melee weapon abilities have their distance increased by double your reason. Blah. Increased by double your reason. So by 4 at first. Wow. Holy shit. This is interesting. Spend 2 balance. Any numeric benefit of the chosen form is doubled in value. So you can basically make your melee weapons ranged? Holy crap. That is wild. Ooh, so if you have 6 balance, you can do this, then do 2 free maneuver and weaves. Oh shit, yeah. There's a lot of interesting synergy in this class. I'm coming to realize. Holy crap. I don't have time to go this in depth on when I'm writing the episodes for Goblin Points, because the fact is it takes such a long time to write them, and then I have to record them and edit them and everything. So I need to kind of do like a very quick, like, I mostly read like the introductions of stuff and try to kind of explain what's the sales pitch from the person that made this, and just try to kind of I read that and I find some stuff that I like from the introductory parts of the product, and I talk about that, and there's wow. You can spend balance very flexibly in this class. It's meant to be a somewhat high skill ceiling class. Yeah. I actually mentioned this on Blue Sky the other day, that the core classes aren't this. They aren't necessarily that complicated once you know the rules of the game. They're not that complicated, but I love that, especially third parties, but even like the Summoner, just right out of the gate, introduces a class that's so much more complex. Oh yeah, someone was talking about tracking resources, and that they liked having a lot of resources to as almost as dials they can adjust and kind of customize how they want their class to work. And the core classes in Draw Steel doesn't really have that. And I said, I think that's a good thing. I think that's part of the core design of Draw Steel, that it's supposed to be kind of streamlined in a way. It's a complex game, but it's streamlined at the same time. But I think it's very much the case for like third-party content or like expanded rules, such as the Summoner or the Beast Heart, to kind of add more of that stuff in. Because what do they call them? Resource goblins. The people that like a lot of different stuff to kind of tweak for their class. Let's see. Yeah, Gub, that math checks out. 3 HR for each free maneuver and weave. I think Blink Blade would be good first character, but not sure about the others. Love the way the mechanics mesh, though. Yeah, Hive Indicator, I agree. Blink Blade is definitely the simplest one, which is intentional. You see, you know, people design stuff. It's almost they've thought about they've thought about this. We're gonna have to move on. How many got left here? A lot. Get the Scion. It's $10. It's too cheap. I didn't say this in the episode, but I $10 for a class. That's a steal. Maybe you could argue that there isn't that much art in here. Maybe, I don't know. It's a really good art piece at the top. What do you want? There's a lot of text. Texts are too. Hello, amazing people. Foxtray, hi. Welcome. Then we got the Die Society stuff. He recently did a crowdfunder on Itch because neither BackerKit or Kickstarter supports or allow people from Brazil to do crowdfunders, which is interesting. But it was a huge success. 240% funded. That's insane. So this the way he did this is on Itch you can open pre-orders for a product, and you can set like a goal for the number or the total income from the pre-orders. So he set a goal of $1,000, and the goal was, if you reach this goal, I'll be able to invest more in getting layout and art and whatever. And as you can see, that was reached to a very high degree. So not only was Hooked on Crafting happening regardless of the funding goal, but this just means that he's able to put more money into it. The text is hard too. Such a great quote. Thanks for the review. I don't even know if I want to call it a review, but it's at least like a read through to some degree. The reason I'm saying that is because I'm a bit hesitant of calling something a review when I haven't really played it, because I'm reading this stuff is so different from playing it, as I mentioned previously in the stream too about the null. Hey, that's me. And the art is licensed, not commissioned, hence the lower price point. Okay, fair enough. Surfing Bird. Or Kronos D King, as you're apparently known on YouTube. Sure. But still, though, you did a lot of work on the Scion, very clearly. And, I don't know, $10 for a class, that is... Yeah. That it's not too much. So this is the thank you article or update from the Dice Society for funding the Hooked on Crafting crowdfunder. Where do I click for the here? Yes. He did a video on this when he launched it. Of course, there's great art by Dojicon. I'm a big personal fan of Dojicon. Well, actually, I have a new avatar that I've started using on Blue Sky and whatever, which is also made by Dojicon, which is commissioned. Again, because I like spending money on people's passion. You can still pre-order or buy. It's $2.50 more now that the pre-order crowdfunding is over. I really like this project because I'm horrible at coming up with... I remember just... My initial thought was, it's really cool that you have these prerequisites for all the items and how to create them, but how the hell am I supposed to come up with where you get them? Because the books give no indication where they come from. And I know Matt... Well, it was in a community video that Matt mentioned that they thought about this, but they didn't have space and time to do it. And you know what? We got such a great community, and of course, we're getting someone who's covering this. Ignore my cringy YouTube name. We're cursed with the names of our that our younger selves thought was a good idea. Yeah. John Denor is my third alias online. Well, I think fourth, technically. Dojicon and Ink are community artists. We love them. Yeah. Definitely. You can change your YouTube name. Yeah. Me too. I did that too, actually. Change my YouTube name. It's not tough if you know where to look. Yeah, you have to go into your click on your face in the YouTube thingy and in your settings. You might have to go to the webpage to do it. Anyway, we're not going to do YouTube support here. I included this in the episode when I talked about the crowdfunder launching in November, or rather, I talked about it in December for the November roundup. And I really like this, where, of course, because of the open license, we're able to just copy the text from the official thing and just giving like an idea and some inspiration of what to do, and like a really short, but like, I really like that these are short and compact. I don't know. It just speaks to me. That's the that's the summary of it. Like the combat here, EV60. Do 2 of these and 1 of these. Boom. Figure the rest out yourself. I really like this because this gives me, me personally as director, enough to start with, and then the players can basically fill in the rest when they show up or whatever happens, right? So I don't feel like there's a lot that I have to prep to go on this adventure. Like, going to the Imperial University in Capital, I can make that work pretty quickly. And there's a negotiation included. And yeah, that's enough for me to get started. My first BBS handle was 34 years ago. I don't know how to tell you this, Hive Indicator. You know what? I'm not going to say anything. Table nonsense. Where's it got to go? Yeah, you're in Switzerland, are you? So you're in the same time zone as me. It's late. If you want a scoop, Jonas Tintens is doing the layout for the final product. Whoa, nice. Yeah, Jonas is good. He's good. Hive Indicator, your words, not mine. Sorry. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to Hooked on Crafting. You know what? I should probably mention. I am one of the. I did write a thing for this. I've written an entry, which I actually had a good time writing. Mostly because I had the time to kind of think about it. So I have to let it ruminate for like a few days before like something starts forming, and then I can finally get something into working. So I'm really glad I didn't have to improvise that at the table, because that would not have been as good as what I ended up writing for the Dice Society. And he seemed happy with it. So tells your hook. Another scoop you want. Some dude called James Intercasso agreed to write the hook. Yeah, that's so cool. Getting James to write a hook for the book. Oh, whoa, a hook for the book. That is so cool. Also, whoa, I just realized I'm gonna be in the same book as James Intercasso. Oh. Didn't prepare for this. That is really wild. What did I write? Oh yeah. No, Words Become Reality at Next Breath. The book that you can open and that floats beside you. That's the one that I wrote, and I this is a bit self-indulgent. I realize, but I was actually quite pleased with the name that I came up with for the. Oh, let's open that over here. The name that I came up with for the high elf, because you need the written permission from a high elf to make the thing, and without spoiling too much, so I'm hoping. Read it for. I was just about to say the Dice Society that I wouldn't want to presume too much, but okay. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna read it because I'm. I am a bit. Oh, I even misremembered the name of the thing. Yeah, I am a bit self-indulgent. Fuck, I'm gonna read it. So I wrote the entry for Words Become Wonders at Next Breath. It's a huge tome that you can speak the name of, or I think you can also just think of the name of the thing, and you crack it open and it starts hovering in the square beside you, and it enhances it adds two squares to your range of your magic abilities. But I just really I have that magic item in one of the campaigns that I'm playing, and I just really like that flavor. I just love the fact that there's a huge tome just hovering right beside me that I can flick through at my own thought. Yeah, that's the juice. So okay. Actually, I should probably drink something for this. All right, so in the original text, I didn't copy that over to here. Did you include that in the document where? Yeah. So the prerequisite for Words Become Wonders at Next Breath is a written permission from a high elf magistrate. And this is the entry that I wrote. So it's first a short lore entry, and then there's like the specific thing. So crafting an item that lets you crafting an item that lets any who wield it bend reality is not something to be taken lightly. At best, something goes horribly wrong in the process of making it. At worst, you're hunted down by the self-appointed protectors of reality and made to pay for your hubris. Obtaining a written permission from the proper authority is highly advisable. The High Magistrate of Consequence of the High Elves has the proper authority to grant such a permission. So the challenge is a negotiation with an Impression 9 NPC. And that is High Magistrate of Consequence, Kiss of Tomorrow's Dawn Remembered. And then they have a starting attitude of suspicious, and their motivations are protection and higher authority, because they are self-appointed protectors of reality, and they believe in their own authority, basically. And their pitfalls is greed, revelry, and power, because they don't believe that anyone who are going to bend reality for their own gains, basically, or just for fun, they don't believe that those are the proper motivations to basically mess around with the fabric of reality. Thank you, Gub. I'm really happy with that name. Gub says it's a good elf name. Kiss of Tomorrow's Dawn Remembered. Yeah, I was really happy when I came up with that. So that's my small point of self-indulgence. High Magistrate of Consequence, Kiss of Tomorrow's Dawn Remembered. Anyway, great writing. The Dice Society says, yeah, I don't know. I do have a taste when it comes to what writing I like, but I'm not gonna claim that it's a good taste. So yeah, you can pick up Hooked on Crafting for $12.50 as a pre-order. It's releasing later this year. Am I not right? It probably says here somewhere. Yeah, so at some point. Happy to be here. Yep, Q3 this year. Yeah. Excellent. And also, How to Draw Steel, number 3. The Dice Society makes a hero. I really like this. Didn't you do this didn't you do this once before with another piece of art where you made the character in the art? I really like this format because you kind of understand. You immediately give an image of what you're trying to reach, and then the choices you make are very easy to understand. Yeah, Batman from Rise Heroes Rise. The Shadow, yes. The art by Grace. Yeah, that's what I thought. I remembered you doing this before. Yeah, Batman was Rise Heroes Rise. Yeah, just the other day here on YouTube. I remember him talking about that concept with me way back, and I'm really happy that he went through with it. He talked about not doing it, and I'm like, yeah, you have to do it though. It's such a fun thing. And people say build crafting isn't a thing and draw steel. Pwah, I say, pwah. I really like this video, The Dice Society, not just because you're here watching, but I like that you have a structure, so it's easier to kind of, and I also kind of like that you went with something else than pop culture people, both because you've differentiated yourself from Rise Heroes Rise, but almost by accident, but also because this is a dope piece of art. and making a sword dude is like, so many people start there. So yeah, good choice. And I like that you explain your way through all the choices through the 10 suggested steps in the core rules. Good stuff. Episode 4 is coming someday. That's the interesting thing to me. I've been thinking about a lot about this lately, that the Draw Steel community, we don't really have any creators that do this like weekly video drop. Well, Rice Heroes Rise is probably the closest, and he's not even exclusively Draw Steel. But we don't have any people that just drop videos every week. And I think some people coming into the community kind of miss that because they just want the constant dopamine hit. And I don't know what to tell you. We don't deliver on that front. And Dice State also did a new episode of their podcast this month talking about the crowdfunder. I recommended my news episode to just check this episode out if you want all the details about the crowdfunder. I mention I have a few paragraphs about Crack the Sun, and then I just redirect you here because the Dice Society went in detail. I don't have to cover that once more. I don't feel like. And my goal with Goblin Points has always been to be a to borrow a phrase, to be a river to the community. I want people to discover other parts of the community. That's what I see my role with Goblin Points as. So me reading this text on stream, I don't know. Check out the latest episode of the Dice Society podcast. Also sign up for the newsletter. The best way to be contacted directly. Scotland signing off. Wow, Sam, you're still here. Wow, good job. Surfing Bird, it worked, yeah. Oh, you changed your name. Yeah, it worked. See you, Sam. Thank you for staying this long. Wow. It is getting late. This was supposed to be like a short stream, and here I am 1.5 hours later. Where did the time go? Wow. Well, I guess those people that want the Draw Steel streams are being serviced. Phew. I hate being the one that brings the. There's something funny with the bookmarks in this issue. Maybe I don't have the latest version of the issue. Oh fuck yeah! This is also a bit self-indulgent because I'm in this issue. I'm really, really flattered that Tabletop Nonsense Verse contacted me. Oh no, they left before I got to their shit. Oh, I didn't even wait. This is all the Dean Spencer. Huh? How about that? I judging by the fact they currently remain the same, I reckon they. Oh wait. Now the question is whether the VOD chat will retain the old name for the old comments. Judging by the fact they currently remain the same, I reckon they will. Huh. Sins of the past has been erased. Too true. Yeah. I was really flattered that Shuv invited me, or Tabletop Nonsense Wars, right hand of DM, or what's the other name that he's going by, the F Bard, that he asked me to contribute. Really, really flattering, to be honest. They did a new update of the boat. Well, this cover is commissioned. Fantastic. Love to see that they have the funds to do that. I'm sorry. And the layout has been updated, and I really like the new layout. And yes, I am in this. Let's stop with the contents. So I interviewed Cameron of Rice Heroes Rise. I need to have him on the podcast at some point. I don't know why. I just haven't got around to it. There's so many people that I want to talk to, and I don't know. I don't have a good priority list. So everybody's heading to bed. Thanks for the coverage, and have a good one. Yeah, you too. Does Paul do editing regular for this scene, or just this one? I don't know that. I don't know how much I should say because I'm in the server. It's not really that secret, I think. But I think Paul is doing something. You know what? I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to overstep any of the... I don't really like revealing stuff that others... on the behalf of others. So I'm not going to say anything. But Paul's been contributing to multiple issues, yeah, so far. So yeah, I did an interview with Cameron. I asked him about monster design because he runs Draw Steel regularly for a lot of different people and a lot of different levels. He runs shorter adventures with and not, some of them are sequels to others, but most of them are like standalone adventures that last for a certain number of sessions. So he's run a lot of different kind of monsters at a lot of different echelons. So I thought he would probably have an interesting insight into monster design and what makes a good monster and basically what does he like when he's running. So I made an interview with him. I basically tried to imitate the style of Hannah Rose when she did an interview in the 3rd issue of Horizons. Horizons now being on hiatus, sadly. Sucks, but there you go. So that's where this style came from on my part. It's reading Hannah's interview with Brendan Lee Mulligan, and I basically just copied her style. I think I've seen it before, but that's like my main reference. Then there's I also really like this. Another subclass for an existing core rule class, College of Deduction. I really like this concept, and I'm actually kind of surprised this hasn't been done more. Just expanding on the core classes. But I don't think that the current subclasses are all the subclasses that can be made for those products. And even Matt has said so, that they see maybe like future products may include extra subclasses for the core classes. And I know that there are some homebrew classes published in the Draw Steel Discord for like the different kinds of elementalist, for example. But I'd like to see more, published stuff like this. I make an arbitrary distinction between stuff that's homebrew, that's basically just like a Google Doc slapped, just published directly in like Discord, and something that's been laid out and maybe has a piece of art with it and is actually paid. There's a distinction there. I don't know. To me, in my head, there is one. I don't know if it doesn't need to be paid though. But there's a distinction if you've gone through like an extra step of presentation, for at least to me. Because then you become third party. But that's my arbitrary rule. Yeah. Gub says he's seen a few shadows. You probably more than I have. Although I try to keep abreast with stuff being created, but I feel like not too many of them have been like given the sales pitch or the sales presentation, I guess. In my experience, Tactician is notoriously hard to design a subclass for. Yeah, that's my impression too. That the Tactician is... I'm impressed they got 3 already. No Furies either. Oh, interesting, yeah. I honestly, I feel like, this is just my gut feeling, it feels like that might be partly because those classes have a really narrow... they have like a narrow niche. Like their fantasy is very narrow, and you've got 3 subclasses that basically, even for the Fury, them being, them transforming into beasts or to animals is already extending the fantasy. I think for a lot of people, it wasn't part of my Fury fantasy. that sounded blimey. So it almost, to me, at least initially, almost felt like they were trying to extend the fantasy just to get 3 subclasses in there. Stormlight kits, I've seen. Yeah, more Stormlight kits. That makes sense, yeah. But not subclasses, yeah. So I feel like getting 3 subclasses for the Tactician and the Fury is already like a stretch. So making even more seems like not impossible, but very hard at least. Tell us more about your Fury fantasy. Felix Kurzak has just going to continue. Made these downtime projects for specific classes. They include 5 here, which I found like a tease, almost like the fact that there are only 3. No, wait, 3, 4. Wait, fire, void, green, earth. 4 elementalist subclasses, while there are 7 elements. And the core rules just say, oh, there are more. And then and also for the talent, I think. I found it funny that was 5. I realized that that's probably a scope issue, but also that there's like, yeah, there's there were more classes, but we're not covering those yet. But I love that they got started. I hope that a future issue includes the other 4. A lot of great art in here. Very, very good at picking art, I think. Additional adversaries. Yeah, this is expanding the existing monster bands from the core rules. Also, an idea that I think I've seen too much of, and I kind of like that. Why not have extra bugbears? Love it. And last but not least, The Enchanted Chessboard by Daniel Gwendolyn Miller, which features, of course, the cover art, and you get to battle these what are they called? Pieces, chess pieces on a chessboard. Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. I think there might be a place for hybrid classes. Like there is probably a ninja in between Shadow and Null. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. But I feel like that would be its own class, though. I think, wouldn't it? Not like a subclass. I guess you could always make it a subclass, but I feel like there's enough there for like a ninja fantasy to make it a whole thing. You can grab the Blacksmith Guild for $11 on their store. They should get a better. You can't see it. They should have like a simple address to their store. That's beside the point. The price went up a bit with this latest issue because they've commissioned art and they have a new layout that I think elevates the design to such a degree that I don't think that an increased price is what's it called? I think it's fine. And considering the amount of work that the authors put into these articles and supplements, totally worth it. This is money that goes back to the authors. They get a cut of this. So, okay. I say that as one of the authors in this issue, which, conflict of interest, but I'm mostly, I'm thinking about the others. That the money that I make from this is just being put back into other Draw Steel stuff. I think they'd be a psionic shadow. A pish shadow. That's pretty good. Unwarranted. Gub says. I don't know. Okay, anyway. Moving on to the matter of an overmind. This is such... Okay, you know what? We're going to have to change the zoom. Page fit. Look at this. Ooh, so good. This is published by Dima Jadar, aka Dima Serban, and I interviewed him. I'm dropping that episode in 5 days on the 15th. The interview with Dima Jadar, and he showed me this piece of art, and oh man, it's so good. Look at this cool spaceship. It has this kind of old school comic look to it. I think there's too many colors to actually be a comic book. But like it has like the texture, the dithering texture from a comic book in parts of it. And look at this awesome spaceship. Like old school, like the kind of spaceships that are impossible. I love this. This is yeah. So this is a short adventure. This is a 2-page let's see. This is a 2-column layout, but that's not what I meant to do. If we go to page fit again, it is a 2-column 2-column layout, but it is single paged. So like the Road to Broadhurst, for example, the document is laid out to be viewed as single page at a time. If you look at some of the other adventures that we've looked at earlier, for example, Snow Queen's Fury over here, it is a 2-column layout, but it is laid out, page fit. It's laid out as if it's a 2-page spread. It's like the page numbers alternate which side they're on, for example. And honestly, for a product that's intended to be all digital, I prefer... Where is it? I prefer this intentional single-page layout. Because it also means that, especially when it comes to some art pieces, that kind of expects you to look at a spread, and I so incredibly rarely do. Oh, a mouth laser. Yeah, it kind of looks like a mouth laser. Yeah, no, it's supposed to be a spaceship heading into the mouth of the what's it called? It's not Zoronox, but it's one of those. Oh, you're guessing the word I was looking for. Yeah. I prefer these because especially when it comes to the art, it kind of it works better when you're looking at a single page at a time. And I think one of the best examples of this is actually the Draw Steel Core Rules, especially the Heroes book, which I sincerely believe looks a lot better when you look at this as spreads as you would do in a book. And having the physical books too, being able to leaf through it with a 2-page spread layout, and having the pages beside each other makes the book look better. Overmind, thank you. Yes, the Dice Society, yes. Oh, the battle. It is in the title. Holy crap. That is very true. Very good point. Wow. It is literally the title. Big letters. Ooh. Dima's been here the whole time. Oh no. I've been talking about him as if he wasn't here. Oh my god. It's literally in the title. Gub says we did a 2-page spread for the kiln just for the preview because it looks better in the preview. Oh yep, okay, yep, totally believe that. But probably intend to do the centered single page layout in the final. Makes sense. Yeah. The Boggets of Kingsmire. I'm not gonna say anything. I shouldn't start saying anything. What the hell am I doing? I shouldn't say anything. I don't want to say too much about this. This looks like a really fun adventure. That's all I'm gonna say. There is a really cool part of this adventure that I don't want to say too much about. This is for a group of 4th level, 3 to 6 4th level heroes. Is this balanced for? And you're already in the timescape at this point. You're second echelon. You're in the timescape. Dima mentioned that it might be too early to go to the timescape. I don't think so. But I'm also one of the weirdos that like a bit of space fantasy in my fantasy. Especially if it's more like... especially if it's more like Matt's deal with like 70s sci-fi, which is more impossible than the stuff you get now. Let's see. Where was I? Blame streamer brain. You can get away with it. I've been working on my drawing skills for my next DS project, listening to the stream in the background. Oh, interesting, Dima. I assume it involves... Never mind. I won't divulge anything. How many victories is it about? Yeah, 7 or 8. Two-shot, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I should really be more insistent on. I truly and honestly and very strongly believe that including the number of victories that you can earn in like the text at the beginning of your adventure is really a good indicator for the director how long this is gonna, or rather how much this is going to involve. If you just say this is a four victory adventure, they immediately know, oh, I can probably run this in no more than 2 sessions, maybe 1 if we hurry, but 2 sessions is, we're going to be done with this. Because you don't necessarily know, a victory isn't equal to another victory when it comes to time you spend earning it, but you still get like a good indication of how long it's going to take. Dima says, I'm glad people think the adventure is cool. Sometimes you start to doubt if something's actually cool. If it's something actually cool, are you the only one who thinks it's cool? Yeah, totally. I'm very much there often. But yeah, you're in your spaceship and you crash land because of a sudden fluctuation in gravity. And you end up on a big meteor or asteroid, I think is the correct term. Asteroid, and you have to try to get off the asteroid. And there's a whole adventure just doing that. And once again, I just love this art. Made by a local artist to Dima, I believe. It's part of the pitch, in my opinion. Lets people judge based on how fast their tables will take. Yeah, Hive Indicator. Yeah, about the victories. Yeah, totally. Oh, by the way, yeah, okay. Oh, by the way, the artist who made the cover, Anton Palic, I'm just gonna pretend that I know how to pronounce that name, is already at work at some additional piece for this adventure. Oh, wow, cool. Are you gonna update it with more art? Oh, that would be really cool. I think the quest/adventure MCDM is playing with is fun, but to be honest, I prefer just to call them all adventures and just include the expected victory count. Yes, I think quest adventure is a nice design term of how big you intend the scope to be. But when it comes to the published product, I think it's easier to just call it an adventure and include the victory count. Oh, Dima says it was a good pronunciation. That's good. I feel like a lot of Slavic languages, they have, for me at least, as a Norwegian, I feel like they have a pretty straightforward pronunciation. But then some of the languages show up with those accents, and then I get really confused of how to pronounce it. And but in this case, they were all normal letters. And that's assuming it's not in Cyrillic, which I really can't read. Yeah, I like this adventure. Let's move over here. The Matter of an Overmind. Oh yeah, that's the name of that. I like the colors that you've chosen. Oh, I also like the textures of the. Oh. Man, you did really well with the art for this one, Dima. Yeah. 10 new monsters, 1 retainer, and a new title to claim. Nice. Oh, it says here you can earn up to 8 victories. Gold star, Dima. Gold star. Wait, did you go in and update this? No. This is you. I haven't reloaded the page. Oh yeah, how long is it free for? It's only free for a certain time. The background piece, I just emulated the artist. Ninja. I have all these pages loaded beforehand just to make sure that I don't have to load anything now. Free until Monday. Okay, yeah. I said in the Goblin Points episode that it's pay what you want or name your own price, and that's a timed exclusive, which I did not say in the Goblin Points episode. So some people are probably going to be disappointed, but that's just a way of rising, I guess. Prices change sometimes. Deal with it. Welcome to capitalism. Too bad. Yeah, Dima, too bad. All right. That was actually all the pieces that I was going to cover. Ratcatcher, How to Draw Steel. The DM Hub people also published a few or a few videos on YouTube on how to use the new loot stuff and how to do encounter setups. The stuff that they're doing over there is freaking impressive, and I just watched both the short video presentation and I also watched Denevarius, the main developer, streaming them using the monster AI to run basically encounter against all the players where they play DM-less. That is really interesting. I'm not gonna pass any too much judgment before they actually end up releasing something a bit more substantial about the monster AI, but I think I find it really intriguing when it comes to solo play or DM-less play, where you basically just want to have fun playing draw steel combat. And it could be really good for playtesting like classes and ancestries and other kinds of features. That could be really interesting. Or even implementing monsters yourself with an AI. According to Denevarius, it's not too complicated. So developers or people building monsters could probably either do it themselves or have someone help them do it and implement it, and they could run playtests in the codex without needing to basically have a full session of players. That sounds really interesting to me. But it also kind of calls into question, well, if if the monsters can run themselves, what stops you from making the player characters run themselves? And then it kind of comes down to, why are we even here? 10 freaking monsters alone ought to cost something, not to mention the adventure content. Oh yeah, for the adventure, yeah, totally. 10 original baddies is sweet, yeah. That that is a lot on its own. Thanks for covering. I was really excited to see my adventure into the stream thumbnail. Now I can finally go to sleep at 3 a.m. Oh yeah. You're an hour ahead of me even. Wow. Yeah, go to bed, Dima. Need player character AI, and then we're really cooking for creator. Yes. Gub and me is on the same page here. Thanks, guys. Original is used very loosely here. They're mainly Frankenstein MCDM monsters. Sure, but still, it's not no work. Run 100 of this encounter and tell me how many recoveries are spent on average. Yeah, that's like an interesting case or like use case for the codex within a monster AI. Definitely. Kit bashing still results in original stuff. Yeah, totally. Hive indicator. Completely agree. Atomic Sorcery says, I think someone figures the out... Wait. I think someone figures the out well end up with Draw Steel inspired roguelike video game. I'm trying... I think I understand what you're saying. In the code... figures it out will end up with Draw Steel inspired roguelike video game. Yeah, I require NetHack Draw Steel. in the codex. You know what I hate my apostrophe. Will yes. Figures out the will end up with Draw Steel inspired roguelike video game. Yes. I was actually thinking that something like not Pillars. Well, Pillars for that matter. Or something like Pillars of Eternity, or what's the other one? The Larian one. Divinity. If you got one of those games with basically Baldur's Gate 3 with Draw Steel rules, that would be incredible. But you know, the codex is really flexible. The amount of stuff you can do just through their scripting with Lua, if you just had all the rules implemented anyway, I imagine the amount of work you had to do to basically make like a roguelike or like a small video game inside of Codex, just borrowing all the implemented rules from Draw Steel to do it. I think that's feasible. That would almost be the best use of it. Yeah. BG3. I was thinking of Divinity Original Sin originally, but Baldur's Gate 3 is basically maybe a better example. I've described the codex as basically BG3 to my players since it's pretty close. Yeah, I kind of think you're right. Of course, you don't get the stellar voice acting and the 3D environments, but all that you kind of do in your head instead. But yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, Hairbrain did something similar with Shadowrun. Oh, interesting. You don't get the stellar voice yet. Sure. But I think the monster AI is going to be very controversial. However, it ends up if it ends up in the product at all. But if it goes in any kind of shape or form, it's going to be really controversial. And I don't necessarily think that's. I think that's completely understandable. But what I really like is the opportunities it affords people who don't necessarily can find a full group to play with, or just want to have a bit of fun by themselves. Blame me. I think that sounds really interesting to me. A CRPG with the Codex Parallax stuff would be so fucking sick. Yeah, I think so too. And the thing is, I think Divinity Original Sin 2 has like built-in Game Master tools, but you're basically building like a full 3D world. With the Codex, it's basically a map, then a bit of height, and you're good to go. People on r/RPG already got pretty mad. Of course they did. Oh, hello, that's their steady state. Yeah, basically. I mean, I'm not necessarily using the monster AI when you already have a director. I don't know if I really see the use case there. Then I start questioning what are we actually doing. But doing combat without a director and just being able to play your heroes, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. I could see myself firing up the Codex, just running a combat all by myself, a whole team of heroes. I'll play 4 heroes against the monster AI and just like having 45 minutes of fun. Yeah. Fire Emblem thing. Stormbreakers, if I remember correctly. No, I've never actually. One great sadness in my life is that I don't really play much video games anymore, and it's only recently, for the past few years, I've realized I really like tactical video games. But way too late. You got to see it. It's on DS Creations. Oh, interesting. Was that the... No, wait, I'm gonna... Oh, I did try it in a session the other night, and it was awful as the director. The monsters take their movement so fast it made it hard to keep up with what it was doing. Oh, interesting. Ah, interesting. Yeah, as a director. Yeah, Monster AI, when you already have a director, I don't know. I know Deneveri's mentioned that you could probably use it as a way to get like help to run the monsters in the most tactical way. And as a person who isn't necessarily very good at tactics but really enjoy it, can believe that to a certain degree. But I would really like an implementation of the Monster AI where it basically just shows you like suggested moves, like, oh yeah, you've got this monster block has this thing, it kind of fits to do now. Maybe that's an idea, and have like a helping hand running the monsters. I think that could be actually really nice, but not actually automate anything for me. I want to be in full control, but having someone at my shoulder giving me advice, yeah, I could like that. It was like I was hosting a party, but 3 wild dogs were running around attacking everyone. Okay. You DM. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Gub. I'll have to check it out. Anyway, we're through the thing. Oh wow, 2 hours. What am I doing? What am I doing? I get like yeah, Matt went live 16 minutes ago. I was kind of thinking about that actually when I set up the stream, that if I stream at this point, it's probably before Matt goes live. So while I can't rate him because we're not on Twitch, but I'm gonna end the stream here. And for those of you who are maniacs who watch the streams live, I'm gonna let you go, and you can jump over to Matt and watch him do his thing if you want to. I am part of the VOD people, the best people. So, so I'm not gonna watch. I'm probably gonna go to bed instead. Dima says he's excited for the jam. Dima, we agreed. You were supposed to go to bed. What are you still doing up? It's 15 minutes later. But yes, I'm very excited for the jam. We have a lot of people coming into the Discord server. It's really exciting. We're almost at 100 members. That's insane. This is going to be bigger, and we literally have 11 judges for this for this jam. That's insane. Yeah. This is going to be really fun. I think this jam is more accessible than the previous one because of the theme that we've chosen for this one. And there were more people in the Discord server, so there were more people to kind of brainstorm and collaborate with. You can enter collaborative entries. You can submit your entry with someone else, but the process of getting there, that's social, that's collaborative. I feel bad about joining since the prizes both have my design in it, but I don't know if I'll be able to keep away. Oh yeah, Gub, you know what? Yeah, you're free to join. Tell us. Yeah, Dima, I've managed to keep my mouth shut for this long. I'm gonna manage to do it for another 2.5 days. Not even that, I think. Is it 2.5? Yeah, about 2.5 days. There will be another video of me on the channel, which is interesting, a new thing. Wasn't it? Who was it that commented that I both look nothing alike and exactly like what they imagined? Which I found hilarious and very relatable. Sometimes when you see someone, I'm like, whoa, that's not what I imagined you look like, but you look very much like yourself. Know the feeling. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream here. I've been going for over 2 hours, which is, frankly, over 2 hours, over an hour more than I expected I would. But of course, it is always, yeah. So if you come across any sickos on the internet that want more Draw Steel content, point them to this 2-hour stream. A goodly stream. Yeah, as a stream, it's probably a good length, actually. Yeah. And I really enjoyed having you here watching, watching the stream and being with me. This has been really fun, to be honest. I've been streaming a lot before, but never actually with an audience. So this is a lot more fun, to be honest. Got to do more of these. My goal is to do one of these a month. I won't promise any more. I would like to do more, but the fact is, I just have so much on my plate. I have to prioritize some stuff over others. Daily, right? I remember you said that. See you tomorrow. Well, the people looking for more Draw Steel content would be satisfied, I guess. That would be wild. Whew. Anyway, I'm actually gonna sign off. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out, contributing comments, asking questions, and of course praising the authors of these fantastic creations from the community. Listen to the Goblin Points podcast wherever you like to listen to podcasts, including YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. There are so many more places to listen. If you use a podcatcher of any kind, you should be able to just look up Goblin Points. And there's no one else named Goblin Points, so you'll just find me. I release 3 episodes a month, news and interviews about MCDM. Have a... Snackus indeed. The Dice Society. I'm going to bed. It is late at night in my time zone. Happy time zone, everyone, and Snackus.